on our backs with our arms in any position and the legs in any position. Good, taking a little bit of time, getting settled. Noticing your internal state of busyness here. Right. Noticing how things are feeling under the surface. And what is the state of things? Are you feeling peaceful? Are you feeling a little jarred? Taking your time to notice and to breathe so that you know where you begin today. Right, so in addition to paying some attention to our lower body today, we're going to be focusing in on our triple burner, triple heater, triple warmer Meridian. Has a number of different names, translations into English. Right, it's Sanjiao in Chinese. And this is a meridian that doesn't necessarily hook directly in with any one specific organ. And this is sort of a meridian that has like a function, but not exactly a form. Good, and so this meridian is mostly located down the back of our arm. It is also up in our head, around our ear. Part of it is located in our temple. And it is said that this meridian is responsible for taking in and transforming and letting go. So all three of those things, all three parts of the wheel, creation, sustainment, and destruction, letting go. And as we settle in here, maybe we'll take a 3-part breath to begin with. All right, so first let's take a big breath out. Breathing out through the nose. Good, and then as you inhale, feel the lower belly expand out, and then pause. And then feel the middle of your belly and the lower ribs expand out, and then pause. And then inhale just a little bit more up into the chest, up into the area of your heart and collarbones. Pause at the top. Exhale all the way out. Good. And just repeat that, breathing in, low belly first. And pause, and then the middle of the belly. And then pause, and then all the way up. Stop at the top, and then a nice, easygoing exhale out through the nose or the mouth if you're feeling it. Good, and then 3 more of these at your own pace. Breath into the low belly. And then the middle of the belly. Good, and then the upper chest. Good. Breathing out. And 2 more. Good. Great. So from here, let's pull both of the knees in towards the chest. Great. And rock a little bit on your lower back here, side to side. Good. Notice how the shoulders feel. Maybe you want to stretch your arms out to the side or grab the knees or even reach the arms overhead. Good. And a few breaths like they are relief. Let your eyes soften a bit. Perfect. And then from here, we're going to drop the knees over to the right and take a little bit of a recline twist. And as you take this recline twist, stretch the arms out so that the backs of the arms are on the floor, the palms are facing up. And then if you can turn your head to look down that left arm, give that a go. Good. Opening up the right side of your face and neck to the sky. Good. Notice the way your low belly moves. And then the middle of your belly. And the chest and the shoulders. Good. And we're going to hold on here for like a good long yin chunk of time, which is, a few more minutes. So take notice if you need some support. Maybe it's a block in between the knees or a little something tucked underneath that left shoulder. Maybe you want to hang in a little bit of weirdness and discomfort and just breathe deeply. Nice. Perfect. Yeah, and then we'll take just about another 10 big breaths here. And if your arms are out wide and to the sides, you might decide to kind of reach them out past the head and maybe loosely clasp the hands overhead, or if you can grab a hold of your elbows, give that a go. And just know that this might not actually be super comfortable. One of the purposes of a yin practice is to learn how to sit with a little bit of that weirdness. And now, of course, if things are painful, that's another story. This is a practice that helps us to discern what's, just discomfort versus what's actually, not good, painful, hurting. Good. Feeling the entire torso, just receive your breath. Your whole torso moving. Good. Just a breath or two more here. Right, and then as you come back through to the center, let's cross the arms over the chest, kind of bring those elbows together and walk your fingertips around the sides of your chest and maybe even towards your inner shoulder blades. Your legs can be doing any old thing. Maybe you want to take constructive rest, knees pointing up and dropping in towards each other. Maybe you want to send your feet up or even like a reclined bound angle, soles of the feet together, knees wide. Good. And as you breathe, notice that space right in between your shoulder blades. Good, that space at the back of the neck. Good, where your head touches down. Yeah, perfect. A few more. All right. Yeah, and then just go ahead and we'll release the arms alongside the body. Turn your arms a little bit so that your triceps are pointing down towards the floor. I'm going to take the soles of the feet to the floor and lift the hips up, coming into a bridge pose. Yeah, just thinking about really pressing the backs of the arms down into the floor here. Let that be as important as the lift of the pelvis, as the strength in the glutes. Good. Notice what your hands are doing. Take a few breaths. Awesome. So our triple burner meridian, triple heater meridian goes down the back of the hand and into your ring finger and ends just at the base of your ring fingernail. So press that finger into the floor just for a moment or two. Notice your wrist and your forearm. Good. Another 3 deep breaths. Right, and then go ahead and lower yourself back down. And as you do that, we're going to take our twist on over to the other side. So how you get there is your choice. Good. Yeah, you might scoot your shoulders, scoot your hips. Both of your knees could drop together, or you might wrap one thigh over the other in your twist. And ideally, your lower body is pretty comfortable here, so you can focus a little bit more attention on the upper body. Yeah, and then stretch those arms out to the side, palms facing up. If you can turn your head to look past your right shoulder, then go for it, just for a little while maybe. And then soften the muscles of your face. The outer corner of the eye. And there's this thing that happens when I release my jaw a little bit and wiggle it around. It's like my ears relax. It's like my scalp relaxes. And so just take a few minutes here to breathe. You let those breaths be full. Good. Those lower ribs moving. Good. The center of your chest moving. The outer points of your collarbones moving. Good. Another few deep breaths here, maybe 5 or so. Perfect. You'd eventually bring yourself back through to the center. Cross your arms over your chest again and see if you can remember which side you haven't yet done, which side wasn't on top before. Just do the opposite. Good. You might really think about walking those fingers around, massaging, maybe even like the upper shoulders here. Good. Maybe you're taking your fingertips down the backs of your arms, simultaneously massaging the triceps a little bit. Good. A few more breaths. Awesome. Eventually, we're going to roll over to one side or the other. And as you get there, spend a moment here with your knees in towards your chest, breathing a few deep breaths into the back plane of your body. Notice the side of your head touching down to the floor. Where does it connect? Maybe you have a block or something underneath your head if your neck feels a little, yeah, good. If it feels a little funky or like it's hanging out in space. Good. Allowing your breathing to become nice and slow this morning. Wonderful. And then let's take a little bit of time to sit up in just a comfortable, easy seat for a little bit. It might be nice to sit up on a folded blanket. All right. And as we do this, let's just take a couple of moments to move the arms a little bit. So we're going to reach the hands back and behind us, the palms facing forward. Take a big breath in, lift the chest, look up. And as you exhale, round the back, bring the hands together. Good. Inhale, lift the heart, reach those hands back behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades in towards the spine. And then exhale to round, and just keep this going at your own pace for a few moments. Good. As you lift the heart and look up, really notice the back of your head touching down to the upper back. Good. Rounding, lengthening that cervical spine, chin to chest. And 3 more. Good, and then from here, let's come back through to the center. Let's press the palms together at the center of the chest. Sit up nice and tall. Good, as you do this, really think about pressing the heels of the hands down a little bit and feel a nice opening through the wrists, through the palms, through the fingers. Notice that 4th finger or the ring finger connected to the other one. Good, and soften those shoulders away from the ears. All right, and then we're just going to kind of do the opposite. So take the backs of the hands together, drop the elbows down, and feel the wrists lifting up. Good. Maybe you want to take your head and roll it around a little bit here. Notice how the tops of your shoulders feel this morning. Good, and then we'll come back through, just release the hands, give those wrists a little bit of a wiggle. All right, And then let's take that right arm and we're gonna cross it under the left. And maybe there's some eagle arm going on here, interlacing those forearms together. And as you interlace the forearms, think about kind of lifting those elbows up a little bit while the shoulders maybe stay in the same place or even drop down a touch. If they lift up, that's fine too. I mean, we all have different shoulders. We all have different muscles, right? Or we all have the same muscles, but they're all doing kind of different things. So just take notice of what kinds of tension you hold here. And I found that it's really nice to turn the head from side to side with eagle arms. And maybe even drop one ear towards the shoulder and then the other ear towards the other shoulder. Again, just looking to kind of create some space to loosen some of the tension in the neck and the upper back. All the while, feel your arms really kind of snuggling in towards each other. Good, and then finally, you might drop the forearms down and just see how that feels. Sometimes it feels real weird. All right, let's release those arms. We're gonna take the hands onto the knees and just take a couple of circles to ease a little bit of that weird rigidity out of the neck and shoulders. You might even consider like gently swinging the head and neck from side to side, but really take it easy. Nothing super fast, nothing super big. Good, and then go ahead and bring yourself back up. Let's stretch those arms out nice and wide, palms facing forward. Exhale, round the back, bring those palms to touch or towards each other. Yeah, a few more times with this kind of movement. And think about really rocking on your sitting bones as you do this. Need the pelvis tilting forward and then back and then forward again. Feeling the navel move in towards the spine as you round the back and the sternum lift as you reach forward. Good, a few more. Alrighty, wonderful. And then let's change the cross of the legs to something a little less comfortable. And then we're gonna take the left arm underneath this time, looking for those eagle arms again. All right, so at first, as you interlace those forearms, or if you take the hug around, just notice how the shoulders feel. All right, a couple moments just to allow your mind to kind of focus in on that. It's 100% normal to kind of run away mentally when we experience some amount of discomfort. But just for now, let's focus in on it. Let's notice what we're feeling, notice where we're feeling it. Good, and if you want to maybe rock your head from side to side here, or turn your head from side to side, that's a thought. A nice way to relieve a little bit of the weirdness in the upper back that's sometimes there. A little bit of that muscular tension. Good, a couple more breaths. All right, and now just for maybe like 2 breaths or 3 breaths, let's see if we can kind of straighten the arms out like this. Again, it's gonna feel weird. Notice what your shoulders are doing. What those muscles that connect your neck to your shoulders are feeling like. All right, and then go ahead and just release. Hands to the knees. take those little sweeps. Yeah, the upper body moves, the shoulders move, the head and neck move. Good, the sitting bones are connecting and then lifting and then connecting. And it might be a good opportunity to like buzz your lips or stick your tongue out to relieve some tension in the jaw and the muscles of your face. Good, a couple more breaths. Alrighty, and then let's bring ourselves to sit up for a moment. And we're gonna take the soles of the feet to the floor and the hands back behind us. And maybe you're hanging here. That's a nice place to be. That's a big stretch for the wrists. Or maybe you're lifting yourself up too into a reverse tabletop. The head could drop back here. A few moments worth of this if you're in it. Good. One more breath. Yeah, and then go ahead and set yourself down, and we're going to roll over onto hands and knees now. And hands and knees time, for at least for the first minute or two, is kind of up to you. So it could be some basic cats and cows. Sometimes I like to think about taking like little circles. So my wrists are right under my shoulders and my knees are right under my hips, but keeping my spine sort of neutral and taking these circles, kind of rolling around the patella, stretching the palms and the wrists. Good. Maybe you want to really focus on rounding the back, dropping the belly. Good. Taking some time to move and to breathe and to sync that breath with your movement. Thinking of this as maybe like a little bit of experimentation time. Like, what of your joints need to be moved? How do you need to move them? And maybe just 5 more breaths with your fingertips pointing forward on hands and knees. Some of this movement of the spine, the hips and the shoulders. Good. And then from here, we're going to reach the right fingertips up towards the ceiling and then slide the right arm underneath, coming in to thread the needle. And as you find your thread the needle, take your left hand and just place it like just above the elbow on your lower bicep. And press in a little bit. And then you can move that hand down. So the left hand kind of presses down into the right forearm, one little bit at a time. Notice what happens around the shoulder blade as you press the left hand into the right forearm. And eventually that left hand ends up at the wrist. And then maybe you interlace your fingers and press the palms together. Good. If the lower body feels maybe a little bit unsteady, you could cross one ankle over the other for some more support and stability. And notice what your head is doing. See if you can allow your head to just kind of neutralize, your temple to touch the floor.
Good, and let's take another 7 big breaths here. Perfect. All right. So from here, if your left hand is on top of your right, just remove it and take the left hand back down to the floor. And I just want to toss out the option for a bit of a balance this morning. You could balance on your right knee and reach your left leg up and back behind you, really feeling the back of that right arm pressing down into the floor to help steady you. Good. Maybe 3 or 4 breaths here. Good. Right, and then let's come on out of this by placing that left knee back down, pressing into the left hand. Raise the right arm up nice and high, stretch through the fingertips. Exhale, right hand comes back down to the floor. And then let's take a downward facing dog before moving over to the other side. Great, so I wanted to offer up some time in movement here or in stillness. If you want to hang in a still down dog for 10 breaths, great. Maybe you want to shift forward and back into a plank pose a few times. And another really nice way to stimulate the triple heater meridian is like a side plank pose, believe it or not. So if you have a side plank in your practice, you want to rock over your heels over to one side and lift that opposite arm up. That's a thought. Good. Yeah. And so a few more breaths like this. Good, everyone. Yeah. And we're going to make our way into a standing forward fold. And as you get to that standing forward fold, let the arms kind of hang loose. You might even like shake them around a little bit. Yeah, the shoulder joints find a little bit of ease. Notice your head and your neck, and if there's any kind of like lifting of the head, drop it way down. And this is where a little bit of self-massage might come into play. I'm going to get close to the camera, but it's pretty easy. So the triple heater meridian is all around the back of our ear. So just take your fingertips and do like this scrubbing action or this like little gentle, fast-moving massaging action behind your ears. You might take your fingers in little circles. But let your eyes relax as you do this. Good, and then you might take your fingers into the rest of your hair, massage your whole scalp. Yeah, and you might even decide to gently tug the hair either at the top of your head, or maybe you want to tug the hair that's behind your ears a little bit. Maybe trying both just to see how it feels. Great. As you pull the hair and massage the scalp, notice your temples soften, your jaw soften. Good, a couple more breaths. Right, and then release those arms. And And here, you might interlace the fingers behind the back and press the knuckles up towards the ceiling too. Standing yoga mudra. Great. If you're in your standing yoga mudra, notice the triceps turning in towards the shoulder blades. Good. 3 more breaths. Great, and then from here, go ahead, drop those hands down, step it back into downward facing dog. Good. From your downward facing dog, it's your choice. You can drop to the knees and find a child's pose with your arms extended long, maybe even like a block or a pillow underneath your elbows. You might take a puppy pose too, with your hips up and above your knees and your arms stretching out nice and long. And let's settle in here for just a little bit. Good. And 5 more big inhales and exhales. All right, and then take some time to come on out of this, your child's or your puppy, and back up onto hands and knees. And as you make it up onto hands and knees, it might feel nice to turn your hands around so that your fingertips point back towards your knees, your palms still facing down. Yeah, and if that's a lot on your wrists, consider just doing one wrist at a time. And with all of that intensity in the wrists, just notice if there's some rigidity building up in the neck and the shoulders or in the spine, and see if you can just introduce a little bit of fluidity into your body here. And that might take the form of your cats and cows or those circles with the shoulders over the wrists. And maybe the movements are tiny, maybe they're big. Yeah, there's almost no wrong way to move here, but really be aware of the sensations in your wrists and your forearms as you. Good. We'll take another 5 breaths or so here. Perfect. It's the antidote to phone grasping. Good. When you are ready, turn your fingertips back around. And then we're going to just thread the needle on the other side. So this time I think the left arm is reaching up, I think. And we're going to slide it on underneath the right arm. The left temple touches down to the floor. And if it feels like you're like craning your neck in some way, or if you're like looking up, see if you can really relax the neck.
Good. Really be supported by that shoulder. And then take your right hand and bring it up just to the top of your elbow or to just above your elbow and your lower bicep. And a little squeeze there, a little press there. Move your hand down through the elbow, pressing along the way. Right hand pressing into that left forearm, into that left wrist. And then eventually your hands interlace. Good. Pressing that right palm down into the left and feeling that nice opening through the left shoulder blade. And just know that if you're holding that and it's starting to build up tension in other parts of your body, if you're like clenching your butt cheeks or something like that, you can always release that right hand. It doesn't have to be there, but a little bit of awareness to the inside line of the shoulder blade is a good thing. Even if it's only a breath or two. Good. We'll be here for just a little while. Yeah, if the legs feel a little unsteady, cross one ankle over the other. Good. Yeah, another couple breaths. If your fingers are still interlaced, go ahead and take that right hand down to the floor. If you want to float that right leg up for a few breaths, that's a thought here too. Activating the belly, finding strength all through that right leg and balance too. Yeah, placing a little bit of pressure on the top of that left shoulder. Nice. Yeah, my teacher always says, do something awesome with your foot. So do something awesome with that right foot, whether pointing or flexing or spreading those toes out wide. Good, and then set that right knee back down to the floor. Press into the right hand. Lift those left fingertips up. Oh, big stretch across your collarbones. Yeah, and then set that left hand back down. We'll take it on back into downward facing dog. And then, yeah, you get a choice here. Okay, maybe finding stillness, really focusing on the way that ring finger feels as it's pressing down, all of your fingers wide. Maybe this morning you're craving some amount of strong movement, and that would be, your plank, your side planks, etc. Maybe you want to roll through a chaturanga and a heart opener like a cobra or an upward dog, back to down dog. Good. So we're all kind of different and we all benefit from different things. Hey, maybe rest is what you need right now. And eventually, like over the next 5 breaths or so, we're all going to make our way up into a standing forward fold again. So could be that you take little baby steps there. Could be that you're just ready to get there now. And that's usually how I am. Like, any opportunity for a standing forward fold. Right, and I just want to throw out this idea that it might be nice to lean into a wall. If you have a wall or something nearby that you can sit your glutes against, or flip yourself around and place your upper back against for this standing forward fold. So maybe it's a little something like this. Good, or maybe your glutes touch the wall for that support. And just know that a wall is always optional here. Allowing your head to drop down in the middle of a room is just as good.
And here in this standing forward fold, focus in again on the depth and the quality of your breathing. And you might decide one more time to give your head that little bit of a massage. And this time you might even like pull your ears. So pulling around the earlobes, around the sides of the ears, all the way up to the top. Maybe you want to do that little like scrubby kind of massage action behind the ears again, just like you do with your pets, you know? Our pets love it for good reason. Okay, just taking maybe another 10 to 15 breaths here, folding in, breathing deeply. Good. 5 more breaths or so. Eventually, we will find another downward facing dog. And from this downward facing dog, extend your right leg up and back behind you, and then bring your right knee in between your hands at the top of the mat. And we're just going to come into this swan pose or this pigeon pose. And if that's a lot on the knee and the ankle to be in your pigeon, just roll over onto your back, cross your right ankle over your left knee, and take your figure 4. And that's nice too. Good. And then here in your pigeon, just fold yourself forward. Extend the arms out kind of long in front of you if that works in your shoulders. And palms up, perhaps, so that the backs of your arms are getting a bit of an opening here. Good. Palms up in this receptive kind of gesture. And if you are feeling a little bit tense in the jaw, relax the jaw a bit. Relax the outer corner of your eyes, your brow. Good. Maybe another 7 breaths or so here. Awesome. All right, and then eventually begin to crawl your way out of this. If you're on your back, you're already there. Just take your feet to the floor and recross on the other side.
If you're in your traditional swan or pigeon, it might feel nice to come back for a down dog, or maybe you just want to swing that back leg around the front, bend the knee, and then extend that other leg behind you. We're just going to find the other side. If you like to move through a vinyasa, if that feels like the thing on your way there, of course, that's welcome. Okay, but settling yourself down and in. If you're in that traditional pigeon shape, you might stretch the arms out in front of you, or this time you might consider wrapping the arms around you so that the tops of the shoulders can kind of fall heavy to the floor, and your head might turn to one side or the other in your pigeon. Good. Letting your breathing be as full as it can be. If you would like to revisit taking that 3-part inhale, it's a thought. The breath might move a little bit differently just because of how your body is arranged. But just notice that too. What wants to move, what doesn't want to move. What is restricted, what is open. About another 7 deep breaths here. Right, and then if you are in your traditional pigeon, begin to crawl your way out of this one. You might move back through one final downward dog here if you're feeling it this morning, or into hands and knees for one last little wiggle around. Eventually, we are all going to find our backs if you're already there. Yay! There you are. Nice. And I would just like to offer up a moment to do a thing that feels right to you. I'm thinking of perhaps another bridge pose, pressing the backs of your arms into the floor, broadening across the collarbones as you lift the hips. If you have a shoulder stand in your practice and you want to go there, that's another nice thing to do for yourself. Or a plow, or yeah, happy baby. Maybe you want to just spend time in constructive rest, or recline bound angle, yeah, or even seated meditation. And so after a few breaths worth of whatever you've chosen, we'll end up in our final pose. And as we end up in our final pose, we'll practice a little bit of breath work again. And so taking a few moments to get yourself settled in. And then I'm thinking of something like a square breath today, which is where you breathe in for a certain count, maybe like 4. And then you hold up at the top of your inhale for that same count. And then you breathe out for the same count. And then hold at the bottom of your exhale for the same count. Good. So taking time to breathe yourself around the square here. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. And then hold again. If another count feels better, feel free to take that. Maybe it's longer. Maybe it's shorter. And breathing in, receiving, holding, breathing out, learning to let go in this small way, and holding again. Good. And another handful of breaths. And then a nice morning stretch. Maybe reaching your arms out past your head and releasing your fingers, flipping those palms and pressing them out. Yeah, maybe you want to wiggle your fingers and toes or bend the elbows and the knees. Good, and yeah, you could rock yourself right up to seated or roll over to one side or the other and slowly bring yourself up. The choice is yours. And here we are, sitting up nice and tall. Good. Let's take a moment to rest our hands on our heart. Place one hand on top of the other and just give ourselves this little gentle massage, side to side, or maybe around in a big circle. Good, easing some tension there through those muscles and that energetic space. Good, a big breath in lifts the heart up into the hands, and then as you exhale, drop your head down towards your hands and your heart, honoring your practice and honoring each other too.